Does consuming MCT during the first few weeks of transition into a ketogenic diet help with the adaptation?
Yes.
Okay. Can HMB be taken year-round?
Can HMB be used? Yeah. Yes. In fact, my dissertation, I gave it for rats' entire life, and actually helped a lot with their muscle. Best way to Caleb says, what's the best way to cut with intermittent fasting and preserve muscle? My recommendation, Caleb, is like to stick to like an 8 to 9 hour fasting period, and I don't see you would spare muscle on that. If you combine it with ketogenic dieting, I think you'd even spare more muscle. Take some HMB, that'll help spare muscle as well. Train around probably the feeding period will help spare muscle as well. Ollie Haldwin says, does flexibility help with muscle growth? You know, having a greater ability to utilize different ranges of motion will help with muscle growth. And so in that sense, I would say yes, it can be beneficial. Okay, can you go into more detail on intermittent fasting? This is TJ Sardar says, can you go into more detail into intermittent fasting, optimal way to fast? Is there a different strategy based on body composition versus overall healthy regeneration? Okay, so to answer your question, there's a couple different ways. One is every other day fasting, in which case on the every other day, you're eating a normal diet. Then every other day, you're eating 500 calories a day. Then the other method is basically you're going to fast for 15 to 16 hours a day. The more restrictive kind is you're fasting for like 20 hours every single day. Here's the down low. If you have a lot of body fat, all of them will likely work fairly as equal. If you're super lean, like Paul over here, if you're super lean like Paul or another bodybuilder, the 4-hour fast, you're going to have a real hard time at all gaining muscle. You might lose muscle. In fact, Erin Stern tried that, and she said she lost some muscle. The 8 to 9 hour fast, if you're lean, is probably the way to go. Okay, training frequency question from Norway. Ellingson. Hey, Ellingson, did I see you in Norway? Anyway, so training frequency question from Norway. If I do 1 round full body workout with bands in the morning and then a full body workout at the gym later the same day, 6 days per week, 3 sets per muscle 2 times a day, thinking of Norwegian and Finland training frequency, would that be too frequent for a natural bodybuilder? Ellingson, the answer to your question is that it will work for a while and then you'll adapt. So highly likely at that frequency, I would recommend doing it like 1 week, maybe 2 weeks max, and back off to where you're doing that once a day for 2 weeks, and then back off where you start after a month where you start training your muscle groups 3 days a week, maybe 2 days a week with higher volume. So periodize it. Anything, if you're going that high frequency for too long, you're just going to plateau. And so, absolutely. If you're drinking BCAAs throughout the day, do any of them get turned into glucose if your body needs it while you're on keto? Is that possible? Some of them do, some of them don't. So I think the thing is, there's not, people think a lot of gluconeogenesis happens, but I don't think there's like a ton that's really happening. I don't think you need to worry about that, to be honest. Colin Soroka asks, is it good to have BCAAs along with a carb drink before a hockey game or food? Yes. As I'm on the ice for 4 hours, Colin, I used to play hockey too, man. We love hockey. We do science for the Tampa Lightning. As I'm on the ice for 4 hours with breaks in between. If food, what do you recommend for good solid foods to have pregame? You're going to have to test that. Whatever doesn't hurt your stomach, right? So when I played hockey, I'd have a little bit of oatmeal and some whey protein. That didn't hurt my stomach. Something that's not like, if it's super meaty and super fibrous, like more than oatmeal, then you're probably going to have some gastric distress. So I'd probably keep your carb source to like 4 to 5 grams of fiber for every 20 grams. I do like BCAAs. Is nutrient programming, I missed that question. Alexander Burton, oh, hey, what's up, Alex? Is nutrient programming only reserved for a fasted state during the first meal of the day or any time of day during a fasted state? Nutrient program is basically just like how you, that's a really good question, Alex. Alex, when he says nutrient program, means the first meal of the day, does it program your metabolism the rest of the day? Breakfast is going to program your metabolism the rest of the day, so it likely is actually impacted even if you eat later. Peter says, hi, Doc. What's up, Peter? What is your opinion on targeted keto? Example, if I have carbs just in 2 meals after training for bulking. Targeted keto is fine. I would have like 10 grams before your workout. Because to be quite honest, it's all you're going to need if you're keto. Definitely no more than 20 grams. And that's all I would do. Joe Lawson says, how much HIIT cardio is too much HIIT cardio? That depends on your goal. So if you're trying to lose fat, then I would say probably more than 3 brutal, deathly sessions a week is going to be too much. If you're just talking about like I'm doing 1 Wingate sprint, like at the end of the day today, just because I'm probably gonna do a Wingate sprint, that's fine. If you're doing the protocol these guys were doing today, like we're doing this study and Andy was literally, how long were you on the floor?
I fell asleep when I got off
for the half an hour after.
Yeah, for a half hour after. If you hit cardio that hard, to be honest, 2 days a week could probably be more than enough. You need to really back off. So 2 balls to the wall, brutal, insane, hardcore. You're laying on the floor for 30 minutes. Is probably more than enough. But then lighter ones you can add in. So Brendan says, "Hey Doc, do you find gut health plays a big role in nutrient uptake?" Brendan, absolutely. The number one thing, everyone goes like, oh my God, I can't change my genetics. We've all said that, including me, right? So, but the thing is, the majority of your genes actually lie in your gut. There's far more genes from bacteria than your normal cells. And there's lots of evidence that those bacteria talk to your brain. They control how much body fat that you have. I mean, like if you literally take someone who's obese and you take their bacteria in their gut and you put it in someone who's lean, guess what happens? They become obese. So if you take someone who's like shredded and you take their gut bacteria, put it in someone who's obese, they start becoming lean. This is powerful stuff. Not only does it affect absorption, it affects every area of your life. So that's what we're trying to figure out. But just for now, find a good probiotic. Make sure you're getting a lot of fiber in your diet. Quest bars are really high prebiotic value, etc., etc. Can the body take up raw egg white, or do I have to cook them? I would recommend cooking eggs, period. But hey, listen, we've all done. I've watched Rocky. I've watched Rocky, man, and I've done that. But from a food safety perspective, I would cook them. Okay, I read this. This is Ollie. It's a cool name.
What is it?
Ollie.
Nice.
Ollie had one. Sick, dude. I read a study on MPS stating that you only synthesize protein every 3 hours and a certain amount. You must have read my brother's study. And a certain amount, so if you miss a meal, there is no point in doubling up the next meal as protein won't be sent. Wait. No. So what happens is that's actually not true. Like there's actually research where, I could have protein right now and then an hour later have another amino acid and actually get protein synthesis again. So but I think what you're referring to is that protein synthesis lasts about 3 hours, and then you stop synthesizing protein. So if you have BCAAs or another protein source, you'll reinstate protein synthesis. So I don't know about that. That's actually not true, what you're saying. But again, studies are really, difficult and intricate, but no. Hey, Doc, does ketogenic diet make problem with insulin sensitivity? Giorgio, it improves insulin sensitivity. In ketogenic diet, growth hormone should go up, and it brings glucose up in the blood, so insulin should go up. Giorgio, actually, insulin goes down quite substantially, and your insulin sensitivity goes up. let's see. Piator says, I think I get ignored today, but I still like you and thank you. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Ask your question again, buddy, and I'll answer it.
Okay, I got his question.
Okay.
We found his
You got,
question.
Andy found your question.
Carb backloading or keto diet, which one is better to cut?
See, man, we got you. We got you. We got you. It's tell me, Piator, if I got it right. Is that how you pronounce your name? Anyway, both work, right? Both work. So, if you're highly like insulin resistant or not sensitive to carbs, keto is probably going to work a lot better. But if you're super carb sensitive, you don't need to go like keto, then carb backloading can be a definite helpful tool. We know that what you eat in the morning programs your metabolism the rest of the day, so it goes with that. And by the way, he's just saying that go low carb at breakfast. Yeah.
Alex Greenhall, did you try the pumpkin pie recipe that I said? Doing it tomorrow.
Oh, sick, man.
Yes.
I can't. You know what, Alex? I'm gonna jump in on that. I love pumpkin. Everything pumpkin is good.
The fall is when I get most happy.
Yeah, the fall. I'm so happy in the fall. Like, I mean, the weather's turning. Blaze, that's a cool name. Is it Blaze, man? Hey, Doc, is there any benefit to train the triceps with a supinated? No.
No.
If anything, it'll lower the weight you're using. Because think about it, the triceps are basically, they're here, right? They're attaching here, originating here, and they're inserting on right here, okay? So nothing here. So doing this is not going to affect that. All right. That was a good explanation, right?
I never thought of
Yeah,
that. That was great.
a big topic.
That was muscle
Yeah.
PhD explanation right there. With reverse dieting, Paul's been helping me like shorten things. So was that
Yeah,
good?
it's going good.
Was that on point?
You
Okay.
got his answer quick. I like that.
Suzanne Roberts, man. Suzanne's awesome. Like if you're ever out in Tampa, you got to come up here.
She's the
Like
bomb.
you're awesome.
.com.
Everyone share the love, by the way. With reverse dieting, have you seen averages for fat and carbs where most males and also females tend to hit their ceiling? Does it depend on certain amounts of grams of lean body mass? Suzanne, I think everyone who reverse diets should either do it by upping protein really high at first and getting their calories back up. That's the main macronutrients they should focus on. Or two, go keto. Because basically what you're really doing is you're essentially trying to store fat when you come out of a contest or a long diet. So you want to counter that with either there's something that won't convert to fat, e.g. protein, or go on a ketogenic diet where you're using fat as a main source of fuel, not storing it. Ben Carpenter is a good friend of mine. Ben, if you guys haven't followed Ben Carpenter, follow him. This guy's got an awesome YouTube channel, does really good analysis of the literature that's out there. Great guy. I asked on Instagram, but just got here, if bulking would eating keto for a day each week help keep fat down and be beneficial? Ben, I think the thing is that there's evidence that like when you switch into keto and you're not fully adapted to it, that there's some negative effects that can occur, right? So, like for example, there's some evidence that like right when you switch to keto, your cholesterol first goes up. So I think having a low carbohydrate day that's moderate in fat would be beneficial, but not necessarily like full out keto once a week. Okay. Lower weights with higher time under tension or heavier weights for muscle growth and strength? Heavier weights for muscle growth and strength. No, heavier weights for strength. For muscle growth, both. Craig Preisendorf goes, boom. What's up, Craig? Chris Morley, any disadvantages to using BCAAs while doing keto? I see mixed reviews. I don't see. I mean, people freak out. Oh my God, BCAAs are going to knock me out of keto. No. In fact, we did research with Mike Roberts that showed BCAAs are more potent when you're keto. So, as Craig would say, boom. Benny Genton, how much should you decrease volume and intensity in a deload? Depends on how fatigued you are. So, if you're barely moving, so if your perceived recovery, for example, on a scale of 0 to 10 is like a 5, you need to cut your training volume down by like 50 to 75% for 10 to 14 days. Intensity should stay the same. If you're like a 6 or a 7, you can lower your volume by anywhere from like 30 to 50% for 10 to 14 days. So that's the answer. Mujaka is a really good guy to check out on that research. What's the middle ground between muscle building and longevity with protein? Ketogenic diet. You know, but I would say probably a gram per kg. About 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, or about a gram of protein per pound. Yep.
Should you cycle creatine?
I don't see evidence. I think loading creatine, if you want to get it to work right away, you don't have to load it because in 30 days, like 3 grams a day is going to saturate you. I don't see lots of evidence for why you would cycle creatine, but anecdotally, people notice that like they get more pumps after, you know, when they do that. But the reason could be because they got off creatine and stopped getting the effect. So, you know, no research supporting it, so I can't really say to do it. Robert, I believe. Okay.
I got one.
Okay, good. Yeah, I agree with Tim. Oh yeah, they're all bioavailable. So how much for? I can't get that question. Someone asked a question about turning into a monster. I got to answer that. How much for me to move down there and you turn me to a monster? Oh man, we'll have to talk offline there, buddy. But good question, man. Okay, and guys, if I missed your question, ask it again, right? Because they're flowing really fast here. How many more questions are you gonna answer?
3 more.
3 more. Matt's Holst says, high levels of creatine kinase, a sign of overreach or overtrain. Matt, say you weren't overtrained at all, okay? And we beat the living daylights out of you in the lab. Your creatine kinase levels, which are a marker of muscle damage, are going to go up real high. But if you recover in a few days, you're not necessarily overtrained. But typically, chronically high levels of creatine kinase, like all the time, are certainly signs of overreaching or overtraining. Go ahead.
Training to failure. This is a good one.
Failure
Failure training.
Failure training?
Yeah.
Listen, like Arnold said, it's not like the 12th, the 13th, the 14th rep that makes you grow, right? So anyway, there's something to that, but I'm not going to, that's it.
Okay.
No, it's playing. Paul's like, yeah, real simple answer there. Love that. Okay, because we only have 2 more questions, I'm going to answer this one real thoroughly, okay? The answer to your question is basically this. Failure training is a tool. When you go to failure, you maximally activate your muscle fibers, so you activate almost all of your muscle tissue, which is very positive. 2, you teach your body to have to recruit the larger fast-twitch muscle fibers, which could be really good for strength. 3, when you go to failure, you create more metabolic stress and more swelling. Both of those are really good for muscle growth. What is the downside? Centrally, you become very fatigued with failure training, and it takes longer to recover from failure training. So if you go to failure, the second problem with failure training is, remember I said central fatigue? So one is it's going to take you longer to recover. So if I go to failure every single workout, I will start to feel very fatigued, and by Thursday, Friday, my workouts are going to suck. 2, so that's one thing, is that don't necessarily use failure every single workout as doing it every single set, because you're going to overreach or overtrain. 2, where you program failure becomes very important. Listen to me, this guys, very important, because I'm the type of guy who goes in there and will want to beat the living daylights of myself. I'll go to failure and strip sets on everything, and it probably holds me back, okay? But I'm a sucker for pain. But I'm telling you what I would recommend. So here's what I'm telling you to do, okay? Remember, you have central fatigue. So say my 10 RM is 225 on bench, okay? I go to failure on 225, right? But if I fail, like can't get another rep, and Andy helps me up on like the 11th rep, like I got 10, no, I'm going for 11, and Andy helps me up to struggle, the next set I might only get 6 or 7 reps with 225. However, if I would have got 9 reps on the first set, 9 in the second, 9 in the third, that's more total training volume than it would be if I went into failure on the first set, dropped to only getting 6 reps, and then maybe dropped to only be able to get 4 or 5. See what I'm saying? So where you program failure is wait to the last set to do failure, because your overall volume will be awesome. Is that?
Yeah.
That's gold. I
Great.
mean, I think that's gold. You take that to the bank, your training volume is going to be much higher. Plus, you're going to benefit from failure training. Okay. So, okay, Connor says DOMs for more than 3 days in the muscle, a sign of overreaching for natural bodybuilder. Are you writing a paper on this there, Connor? Is that a second one on that? Maybe not. I'll tell you what. Again, I cannot be overtrained, and I could take someone, say they train legs with me, and then I have them do like 30 sets with me, and they're sore for the whole week. I mean, they might be slightly, that's overreaching. Yeah, that's slight overreaching, not overtraining.